Okay, Conal, thanks very much for taking the time on your little short trip.
Thank you
back
for
home.
having me. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, well, into the hot seat behind some very big names. So
Yeah,
Lennox, Watson,
yeah.
I'm surprised you asked me. You must be running out of people.
I know you were high profile. We were just waiting to get you in person.
Yeah,
I
okay.
believe Jimmy Dempsey's home too, so
Well,
we should have got the three of us here.
there you go. Well, I mean, Jimmy obviously he's on the dream team, so you must
How do you feel about that?
I was glad to be nominated, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you'd thrown Kieran Frawley into the 10 mix, I probably wouldn't even got a look in. So I did vote for Jimmy though, just to be
Did
clear.
you?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. He was good. He was good. So you basically were born into this kind of what's the age gap between you and Killian?
12 years.
Is he 50 this week?
He's 50 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Happy birthday, Killian.
Yeah, he's hiding out down in Limerick,
Okay.
trying to avoid the music, but no, he's 50. Put a lot of social media up about that.
Oh, I'd say he's all over that.
Yeah.
So there's 12 years between you and him. So you were kind of, was it something that you really looked up to Killian for, or was it kind of you were pushed down that path, or did your dad's a good rugby.
Yeah, there was no pushing it. I mean, I was down here. I still have a vivid memory of being down here when I was 5 or 6 years old, like in my gear, and I had these little gola boots with like plastic studs, and I was kind of just let loose down here every Sunday morning or whatever it was. But I always remember that I wasn't allowed to play the away matches because I was too young. Like I was obviously no contribution whatsoever to the under nines, or I think John Connolly had the under nines then, and I always remember being down in the car park and seeing people load up the cars to go into Ashburn or Clontarf or something like that, and I was like devastated. So I realized my morning was over straight away. Like lads kind of waving through the window, going, "You're not allowed to come because you're an idiot. And you're 5 or 6 years old." But like it was from then on. Like I played and right all the way through up. I mean, I remember being 10 or 11, and Gaelic might have clashed with it, but that was the only time I wasn't playing really from 5 to 20 really in Skerries. Like so.
And did you have a go with the Gaelic? How far did you go?
Yeah, no, we had a good Gaelic team in Skerries, just with Skerries. I mean, we did a tasty team from under 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s, and there was just a bit of a clash. So it was kind of unfortunate you couldn't do both. But by under 12s, I was kind of back playing rugby, and that was it.
And was there many in that crossover, that team then?
As I knew, played both.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have Mark Hewitt, Brian Cullen obviously went on to excel in Gaelic. Yeah, most lads would have tried their hand at both, but there came a time where you had to make a decision.
And interesting, do you think Brian would have made it at rugby?
What should I say? I'm playing golf on tomorrow morning.
You won't get this before that.
No, I don't think he would have made it at rugby. He was a very good Gaelic player, but I mean, size-wise, etc. I mean, you have to be a particular, dimensions to make it in a professional game, unless you've got something else exceptional like pace or something like that, like your Chesney Colby. So, like, well, sorry, the way he applied himself, maybe he could have, but I don't think he would have reached the fame that he did with Gaelic. I mean, Gaelic just suited his skill set and his intelligence and stuff, the way he organised the game. So, I don't think he made the wrong decision.
So the pass for Coppers is worth it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, we would not have got as much mileage out of playing professional rugby as we did Gaelic. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah. And then, okay, so you said from 5 to 20, you were here at Skerries. Your path then is a little bit. Talk us through where you went from here.
Well, I came out of school. We had a good school team. Like we were very lucky, even to go back a step. We were very lucky from 12 onwards with the teams that we had. Like very good coaches. We won stuff. Like we won under 13 Metro with Stephen O'Sullivan, Amy McGinley, under 14 McGowan Cup, won a junior cup. Paul Smith, Mark Palmer were our coaches. And then from kind of 16 to 18, we won 2 senior cups. I mean, your good friend Wiro was captain of one with Nick Heaney coaching. I was kind of only transitioning at that stage. I was only on the bench. And then with Rory O'Byrne, we won again when I was in 6th year. So like we had a great, 5 or 6 years. When you think of, a lot of lads might play rugby and not win anything.
Yeah.
Like it was unusual for us not to be in some sort of final. And then when we came out of school, a few of us went straight into the first team, which was a big step up, but a big deal for me, obviously, having been watching from the sidelines for years. Like Nick Heaney was the coach that year and obviously knew us from schools. So myself, James Sherlock, Mark Hewitt had been in Belvedere. We got a run. And that was the last year of, some of the big names. I mean, John Horn, Billy Mulcahy, Giles E. Dosser, got to play with all them. Jimmy, I think, was in Qatar for that year, but he played, I think, a year or two later. I got to play a season with him, Patsy as well. So that was great crack. I mean, like, completely overawed coming into that team at 18, trying to control a game at 10. I think Daryl Sheeran, that was his year. He was brought in basically to play 10, and then Nick parked me at full back just to try and protect me. But I think Daryl then went and broke his leg in Bahrain, that great Bahrain trip. So
did you make that trip?
I did eventually. I didn't go initially.
You were called out later.
Yeah, my parents saw the crew that were going and were like, no. And then
the Tom Court.
Daryl broke his leg, and I got to go out for a few days, and then play that season, which was a big eye opener in terms of playing with actual men. I remember getting smacked around a bit. We took a few serious hidings up north. I remember one in particular. We played in Stonians up north, and we got beaten 51-0.
Yeah.
I just remember Jeff Duff behind the posts, blood spurting from his nose. This was like after they scored their last try. And I was going, shit, this is this is not much crack. But we came back to the clubhouse, and some of the lads were patting us on the back, saying, it was a good performance out there today. I was like, what? We just got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. Well, that was it. I mean, it was up and down.
You talked about those school days playing rugby, and a lot of people would say they're the best days of your life. Like, for all those kids who play now and then pack it all in, what would you suggest to them? Like, is there life after school's rugby?
Of course there is. I mean, but it was unusual for us back then to go straight into senior rugby. Normally you'd have your under 20s, and I think that year we were just a bit unlucky numbers wise. We didn't have numbers. We tried to even team up with Boyne to get a team, and Wayne Mitchell, who's involved now, is actually in charge of that, and Alan Carell as well. And it actually would have worked out really well, but it was just unfortunate that a few of us were able to get onto the first, and we couldn't actually commit to that. So there was no, if you have that gateway, which the club do now, they have a 20s team. It's very important. I mean, there has to be that grab of players from Skerries and wherever else you can get them, and say, right, this is your under 20s team, and enjoy these 2 years. Now, I didn't get that here. I was lucky enough to get a chance with the first, but the second year, if you're going back to where I played after that, I did go into UCD and play the year with UCD 20s, which was another massive eye opener as well in terms of conditioning, as in what lads my own age were actually doing in the gym and stuff like that. It was like, oh shit. And then just even tactically, how to play the game. As in, I was way off what was going on there. So I got to play with some really good players there. I mean, Kevin McLaughlin was our number 8. Killian Willis was the 9. He went on to play professional rugby, and then a number of guys who would have been Irish schools internationals and played good club rugby in Lansdowne. And it's funny you talk about a lot of people stop. A lot of those guys didn't go on after under 20s. I'd say they were probably sick of it. And they would have all played underage in Ireland, and a lot of them just dropped away from it. Burnout, I'd say, yeah. But it was a great experience. I mean, and a big eye opener, UCD.
Okay.
And then I came back to Skerries after that, so for a couple of seasons, and then we got relegated from the AL,
right? Which
was obviously a pretty awful day up in Banbridge. Even though we won, we kind of let ourselves down throughout the season. So when I was, I played 10 for a lot of that season, and to take a lot of the blame for that. And then I kind of decided in that season that I was going to go and go to Clontarf. Conal Keane was there, Mark Hewitt was there. Again, just because I wanted to challenge myself and have a go. I mean, it was again another big step up. You were coming from a team that had just got relegated to junior rugby up to the top of AAL Division 1A. So there's no way I was walking into any team. It was kind of like, who's your man?
Yeah.
But again, I got stuck in. Played on J1s for the half a season, and then got my chance. Andy Wood was coaching the J1s, so it was a proper team. The coaches were pretty blunt about what was good and what wasn't good. It was either change these things or you're not getting a chance. Phil Rico was in charge of the first team. So he had a few frank conversations with me.
Okay.
And then I went off and played J1 till Christmas with good J1's team, and then got a chance with Clontarf, where Mark and Derek were both starting. So that was brilliant. We had a great second half of the season, and got to an All-Ireland semi-final and got knocked out by a Gary Owen team coached by Killian. So that was great.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Sore point, or are we over it?
I'm definitely over it, but he still takes the piss out of me about it. So it's just, you just got to take it on the chin.
But you did get which he
eventually I did, yeah. Well, I think I was away in Australia for a year, or not a year, but kind of scuppered the following season, and then Phil Rico was going to Old Belvedere, so he asked would I come, and I said I will if I can play dual status with Skerries. Yeah, but he just kind of changed Old Belvedere, changed the culture. He wasn't afraid to kind of, take a flamethrower to the place. That's what they needed at that time, and he did. I mean, he totally changed the playing squad, his approach, and we had just 2 unbelievable seasons where we won 1B and 1A in consecutive seasons, with a very special group of players, and I was lucky to kind of play a small part in that.
Small part?
Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't I wasn't one of the star men, but we had a lot of, I think half the team were guys who played professional rugby or would go on to play professional rugby. So,
but you were the starting 10, so
I was the starting 10. I wasn't in the final. I started about 10 games that season, but I had Andy Dunn kind of breathing down my neck, who was also the backs coach and still a bloody good player. So, I couldn't really complain when he took my place.
Yeah.
Simon Cow was the scrum half as well. Chris was on the bench for the semi-final and the final. So, it wasn't as if you were getting replaced by some dodo. There was quality players everywhere. And yeah, I mean, we probably could play that final 10 times. We'd only win it once. That's the funny thing.
And who were you up against the final?
Cork Con.
Oh, well, they don't lose many.
They don't, and they beat us twice during the season, and we just caught them. I remember it was a really warm bank holiday Monday. It was played in Donnybrook. The pitch was not good. Not that was but it kind of upset them.
Yeah.
They were kind of probably put out by the fact that the game was 100 yards from Old Belvedere's grounds. There was just a couple of things that annoyed them, and then we actually went out and kind of shocked them and played quite expansive rugby and had a go. And scored, we outscored them 3 tries to 2, and we deserved our win. But as I said, I wouldn't want to play it again. We just caught them on the day, so that was great. Yeah,
still counts.
That's it. Still counts. So Killian, I have a response for Killian whenever he comes after me.
That's fair. So I'd say maybe a year or in around that time, I met you. We had a drunken chat in the toilets at Joe Mays. And
sorry about that.
No, it's probably predominantly me, I'm sure. But you said to me, and it sticks in my head, that there's no better feeling than playing with all your peers and all the lads you played with coming up through the ranks. So you had at that stage, and even it might have been a year or 2 later, that you did come back to Skerries. That was your goal. So would you still stand by that? Would you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, particularly what happened since then. I mean, it felt like I suppose unfinished business getting relegated out of the AIL. The lads had been toiling in junior rugby, and it was just such a difficult division to get out of. Got to a Towns Cup final and stuff, but it was let's get back to the AIL. And obviously you're coming back here every weekend and you see the lads around, and you do feel that kind of, I wouldn't call it guilt or anything like that, but you do feel that kind of, you miss, it'd be nice just to get back and win with them and go on a roll. And then John Murphy and Chris, took the reins, and there was just a kind of a atmosphere change. You felt just in terms of, this is going to be serious and something's going to happen. And Dave Hewitt then got involved, and just it kind of, got a lot of momentum. So I was I was still obviously enjoying Old Belvedere. It all happened very quickly, but I was also under a fair amount of pressure at work. I just kind of qualified as solicitor, and the hours were mental. So training 3 times a week and disappearing all day Saturday just became almost overnight kind of a no for work.
Yeah.
And Skerries, not that Skerries weren't training hard and stuff, but there was a bit more flexibility. And I was still living here as well. So
did you go from Belvedere 1A to junior rugby.
To junior rugby, yeah. And I played the first half of the season, and like I wasn't playing well because I think I was running all over the place just with work, and wasn't enjoying it. And I was like, just okay, well, forget about rugby now. You're going to have to just concentrate on work. And not that it eased off, but the fact that I could just maybe train once a week with Skerries and play a match, and there wasn't that kind of pressure, enabled me to play that second half of the season when we got promoted back up to the AL. So it just kind of came together, which was great.
And did you enjoy it? I mean,
oh yeah, I mean it just felt like kind of a pressure valve was off, even though they were obviously pretty serious matches for Skerries when it got to the round robin, and you were desperate to win, but it did feel like a kind of release of pressure just to go out and play with the lads. And like we were playing good rugby, like we were organised and throwing the ball around a bit and stuff, and like it was good times. I mean that period of 2011 2015 was brilliant here.
Okay.
I mean it was hard to beat. Like we were very tight as a group. We had to be, because we didn't have big numbers, we didn't have big squads. If anyone got injured, we felt it. But we played hard, played for each other, and we had to work bloody hard to win. Like you were battered after winning those matches, particularly when we went up to the AL. It was very hard to win, but we won a lot of stuff as well.
Fair play. So you're now based in the Cayman Islands.
Yep.
Yeah. And is it true you're playing a little bit?
Still playing, yeah. You'd still be playing if you were living in the Cayman Islands as well.
I don't think I get insurance.
We have.
Do they do warm-ups?
From 16-year-olds to 57-year-olds playing.
I might get lucky.
So yeah, I think it's just a kind of it's very similar. It reminds me a lot of Skerries in many ways, because it's just one. But the clubhouse is probably the size of the hall here.
Okay.
And they have maybe about 100 odd senior players who can play. They divide them up into 4 notional clubs, and you're with that club, and whoever comes in every year, obviously it's a very transient place, but if anyone shows an interest in playing, there's a draft or whatever, and you get assigned to a club. So like it's great crack. I mean, I played a game within I think 3 or 4 days of flying there, because I just knew I was chatting to Mark Harrington about it, and he put me in touch with someone. I just knew like didn't know anyone over there, was the best way to go down. That's like, how many times have you heard that story about a rugby club? It's the place to go to meet people, and I'd still be good friends and still playing with a lot of those guys that were there the first time we played. So it's a good setup. Yeah, people from Skerries have enjoyed over there.
Brilliant. And Killian has recently moved back to the town and is involved with the minis, with coaching and stuff like that. And what are your aspirations in relation to coaching and getting back to Skerries, or is that not non-negotiable at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I'm still kind of playing, which is hilarious in many ways. But
so why are you afraid to go back?
Yeah, as in like, I don't know. Like coaching, I have never really thought about it. We have to do a little bit in the team that I'm playing in Cayman, because we don't really have any coaches. So so senior players there will literally think up stuff to do in a training session. We don't train that often, to be honest. We're invariably at the bar, but like even doing that, I don't know if I'd have the patience for it, to be honest. I would like to get involved though. I was talking to Beef about this, and I was like, I'd be happy enough being his assistant bagman. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in even just to be involved. But then I suppose if you do get involved, you'd find yourself probably overreaching and having a word in someone's ear and stuff like that. But like, yeah, like when I come back, I'll definitely look to get involved in the club again, because like, yeah, as in it's not something you don't want to be involved in. You do want to be part of the kind of buzz,
Yeah. And commentary, is that any truth to that?
No. As in commentary in the middle bar in Joe Mays and upstairs here, which people have a very short fuse for.
Right. I came across a video there on LinkedIn. I sent it on to you yesterday. Did you watch it?
I did. I didn't watch it, but I can guess, is it the Aussie one up with my eyes? But Paddy's in it as well, isn't he?
Paddy's in it,
yeah. Conor O'Sullivan as well. It's gas.
You're quite critical of I think it was Ben Tune.
Yeah, I think it was very much tongue in cheek, given that Australia were about to become world champions and we're going to slaughter Ireland at the weekend. But
I wouldn't stop you.
Yeah, the Aussie lads, whoever the guy who was filming it, were in bits laughing at it. They were like, "How do you know any of this?" True, we were watching Super Rugby every Saturday, so we idolized all their players. I mean, I still have a picture with Stephen Larkham at home. Yeah, Conor O'Sullivan was the other guy giving cheek in that video, but. And we still laugh about it. It was great. So
yeah, you would have the vocab and the tone for that sort of thing. And is it anything that you'd consider punditry
No, I mean,
and not a podcast.
well, if you want to be a pundit, you need to have really done something. So I mean, it's like,
Did you not tell Kelly you won?
yeah, well, I don't think that qualifies.
No.
There's so many pundits. You probably want to have a few caps to your name, or be actually a notable person, or you can be a presenter and talk to the people who are actually good, maybe. But
Well, there's that.
no, there's a lot of that there. She's dozens of podcasts and stuff there. There's enough talk about it. So
Right. And speaking of having done something and stuff like that, were you in any way close to getting any contracts on the professional scene?
No, it wasn't good enough. I found very much the top of my ability. I was never even close to that. Like not physically, probably at the races. Okay, like I could survive as a kind of a cog in a machine, but not at the level of consistency or frankly talent to go on and get a professional contract. Which is also a good thing. I mean, playing professionally is no picnic either.
No.
It's you think about it a lot as a young fella going, geez, that'd be great, but look, it's tough as well. Like it's great to see the Skerries lads doing so well at the moment, but it's tough, tough on the body and injuries, and then you see other people kind of getting on with their careers at the same time. Like I often say, like just from chatting to Killian, like I mean, it's a lot of great days, but a lot of down days as well. Yeah. So I don't really think about it too much. That I kind of just accept that I had a lot of good days playing with Skerries or Belvedere and stuff, and can be very fortunate for that.
So speaking of them, who would you say was the best player you came up against, brother?
It's hard to know who against. I mean, I would have played against Ian McKinley for St. Mary's. I played against Sexton as well when he was younger. Ian McKinley was almost more impressive, but really? Like Sexton just didn't make any mistakes. Like he was kind of on obviously a serious path to stardom, and Ian McKinley was a lovely player, like a really hard player, could step, had a great left foot. So they were definitely, two guys that were very difficult to play against for different reasons. Like to play with, I'm very lucky with some of the players I play with, like in Skerries, obviously. Chris, I would always rate very highly as really top scrum half.
Really?
Yeah, I know you don't want to hear that, but
nobody wants to hear that.
No, but like he was just really angry.
Yes, he still is.
Yeah, really angry and really well organized. Like I remember coming on the match off the bench, and like it was a our scrum, and Chris just gave you a look of almost pure hatred and just kind of say, "What are we doing?" Like you just, like actually, like you almost like kind of soil yourself. It's kind of like make a decision, but like he was very wired and very organized. So he was a great person to play with. Ross obviously always gets mentioned because he was just a great bit of stuff, still is. And then in Belvedere, for that run of 2 seasons, we had a few really good players like the number 8 Leo Avu was.
Yeah. Where is he now?
He's in Western Australia now, and I don't think his playing days are past him. He might just be playing a bit of club rugby there, but I mean, he was just unplayable for 2 seasons in the AL. He played with a club mate of his at 7, a guy called Jason Risden, and the two of them were on a different planet. Even to AL Division 1, they were literally standout players. I mean, Leo got a professional contract with Leinster on the back of that. Jason should have got a contract as well. Like, and that was a big miss from Leinster, Munster, Connacht, because he was just a phenomenal player as well. So I was very lucky to play with guys like that. Yeah.
Okay. And have you any what's the most embarrassing thing you've seen on the rugby pitch? Let's make embarrassing, a bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, I don't know. The most embarrassing thing I saw connected to rugby wasn't on the pitch, but it was very close to the pitch. We were down in Ballina. It must have been 2004, 2005, and Ian McLaughlin, Turbo McLaughlin, used to be the manager of the team, and he was absolutely hilarious. And Piggy Lee, who needs no introduction either, and him had a race on the lawn of the Downhill Hotel after our match. And I still remember it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Like they were slagging each other off like viciously all year, like just non-stop. And like Turbo was obviously saying, "Piggy, you're slow, you're useless, you're in decline, even though you're in your early 20s. And it came down to this showdown that we'd obviously all egged on and hyped up. we were all in our kind of our, Skerries shirt and tie after the game. I think we'd won. We're having our first drink, and we're out kind of the front of the downhill having a drink, and we had this little amphitheater, and Piggy and Turbo then set off on a sprint. It was only at 6 o'clock in the evening. But I always remember it was almost like things almost went into slow mo. Turbo didn't get a good start and realized he was in trouble after about 7 or 8 yards. His kind of running motion and stuff got a little bit staggery. And the next thing is he kind of lost all bodily control and veered off into the shrubs. And I swear to God, like face planted into the shrubs. The whole place went wild. Piggy was kind of celebrating at the tape, kind of like this was like one of his biggest sporting moments. And I just like, I still almost cry thinking about it. Like people were just delighted. It was like, this was the best thing. No one cared about the fact we just won a match. This was big. And I can't, I saw Turbo out walking the dog the other day. I can't look at him without thinking of that and smiling. It was just classic.
Very good. So you were back here for a few years, and you decided to hit the road again.
I need to bring this up.
I
was done.
Specific reason?
No. It's just the love of the game. Like I was kind of done playing serious rugby, and a few of the lads who I played with in Old Belvedere were in Malahide. Ray Monaghan was kind of the player coach, and again, it was kind of light touch. You don't really have to train, don't have to travel if you don't want to. It was a very kind of, do what you want kind of thing.
No other incentives.
As in obviously very nice scenery.
It's beautiful.
The Estuary Road there, very scenic, nice clubhouse. But it was a brilliant year. Like I have to say, it was incredibly enjoyable. Like they're like I know they've been around for a long time, but they're almost very new club. And they've kind of like a kind of refreshing approach to everything, kind of even in terms of their commercial side, getting lads jobs and helping out the network.
Barman, is it?
No, well, not barman, but literally contacts, as in like. I don't think they were very rugby geared. The guys who were involved were more kind of Gaelic and business and stuff. They were kind of doing it as kind of a hobby. But like, in terms of getting lads, lads if lads didn't have a job or lads were struggling and stuff, they were very good. Not that every club doesn't do that, but they were particularly good at it. And I mean, I still stay in touch with the players and the management there. And, even from a kind of a work side, coming back to Dublin, and I know Mark Hewitt feels the same as well. Like it was an incredibly good move in terms of a network and, guys that you can now pick up the phone to and say, look, what do you think about that move, blah, 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 and stuff. Like they were, a proper club, a modern club, I have to say, not as established as Skerries, but kind of fresh thinking, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And then you're in the Cayman Islands, and weekend, what's the first club result you go to see then?
Skerries, of course. It's actually quite handy when the AL was on. I missed it last year. You wake up on a Saturday morning, 8, 9 o'clock, and the games are already underway. So like you don't have to wait around. So you get the commentary, and it was good when they started recording the matches. Actually, they recorded a few so you could actually watch them. And obviously the lads ran a great run last year. It was kind of I was looking forward to that Enniscorthy match at home, because that would have been probably a decider. So it was a bit cruel that they got cut short, and then like didn't have a season at all really last year. So look, hopefully I see the fixtures are up, and it'd be great if they could have another run at now this year.
Yeah, and just talking about that current crop of players and the AIL, where would you rate those, or is it too fair to ask you? Where would you put them in comparison? What would you say is
the current batch?
Yeah,
I haven't seen enough of them playing, to be honest. I've obviously trained with them once, so hopefully train again tonight. Like there's
Saturday.
What's Saturday?
Ashburn away.
Stop, Jesus no. But there's some big lads there, like the likes the Mulvanys and stuff, and obviously I like to see. I haven't seen sight nor sound of Ross McCauley, but he assures me that he's playing, and hopefully Tanji and these guys, and like they have a lot of talent there. So like, I mean, I don't know, as in they'd have to probably go and earn their spurs and get promotion just to show everyone that they're a serious team. But I don't see any reason why they can't do it. And like the fact that their age profile to me seems to be good. I mean, particularly with the guys who've got size. If you get those Sherlocks back in harness, get Evan back in harness, and even I hear about AJ doing triathlons and stuff. I think we need to get him back.
Read him back,
Get him back. Get him
Midlife
back.
crisis.
Yeah, get him back eating, and see if we can find any O'Connors as well lying around, and then just bulk up that pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, as in, like, I hope they do something this year. Now it'd be nice to kind of get a buzz going for the club, and she'll be back at Christmas now and see them top of the table or close to it, hopefully.
Like you said, you want to go training tonight, so we want to finish it there. Really appreciate that. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Jack.
Hope that recorded.